Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hello, everyone. I don't think we have any scheduled public comment, so we'll go right to the report of the secretary. May I have a motion for the minutes of the last meeting, please?
I move to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of Wednesday, July 24th, 2024.
I'll second, Lisa.
Great, thank you. I saw nothing at all, of course.
Looks good.
Anybody?
Oh, that looked good.
All right, all in favor? And moving to the report of the chair. Account officials meeting schedule.
So I've reached out to the towns,
Okay.
trying to get some feedback, and it gets choppy during the year, and so I asked the question, would it be better to meet every other month? Would it be better, like, what works better so we can try to make sure we have that commitment to be able to do that? So I've heard back from Elliot, I will reach out to Southborough again. Elliot's really in a kind of a hectic spot right now with everything that's going on there with the town hall renovation, everything else, so really, Mike was saying probably September isn't great for him.
Okay.
And so let me work on that schedule, and I'll get that to you by the next meeting.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay. Next is the MSBA Delegate Assembly. Joe just wanted to mention that he remains in his role of VP there.
Okay.
And then opening day for faculty and staff. I sent a message to sort of get a head count for who will be there. That will be August 27th. Is that at 8 typically, or?
8:30.
8:30,
Yeah.
okay. And we'll just assign roles for the introductions for the new staff. So
Will there be like the summary?
Yes.
they'll usually
As you-
send the summary to us.
Put everything
yes.
together, yes.
Do you know how many we have off?
What we typically do is do it by building,
Okay,
and so that's probably the biggest, or the best advice I would probably give is if you could break it up that way. Typically, the high school is the largest. It's not a huge turnover this year. We changed things last year a little bit, and I like the idea, and I just want to make sure the board's still okay with it, but last year was the first time that we introduced educational technicians who are such a vital part of the work that we do, and I just think it was a really nice
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
that they
I
have
agree.
to what they're
Yep.
doing, and so if we continue that, but if we want to just break it down by building,
Sure.
we certainly can do that.
sure.
you wanna
Were
do
you
the-
guys planning to attend? You're a no,
I
okay.
can make it.
Okay.
What time is it from again?
8:30, and
8:30.
you're probably out of there by 9:45 at the latest.
Yeah,
I
that's
guess.
fine.
Yep. Okay, so that will be 5 of us if you make it. If you don't make it, we'll just divide.
Okay, I'll keep you
Yeah.
posted, but I mean, so long as my flight isn't
Okay.
delayed or something.
Okay, so do you want to just kind of go around and each take a building here? So I'll do Elliott Elementary.
Okay.
Joe will do Central.
Okay.
Do you want to do Great Works, Kate?
Sure.
And you'll do the middle school,
Sure.
Rebecca?
Yep.
And Lisa, high school?
Sure.
Okay. And if anything comes up, just let me know,
Yeah.
and we will divvy them up.
And I'll have Terry kind of prepare the little snippets, and we'll get those plenty of times that you can go over those.
Okay.
As you can see, we had some late additions to the agenda, so we're still trying to shuffle some things around to get all of our staffing in place, so.
There was just one thing that I liked that we did 2 years prior was we did a little bit of a summary of kind of a little bit about the person, whereas last year seemed very just, this is this person, they're starting.
Yep.
If they could even put together a little something, I think it's a nice touch. I don't know how everybody else feels about that.
I'll talk to
No.
Terry about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
Great.
Yeah,
Okay.
make it a little more
It was small,
professional, but like, yeah.
Yeah, but if you do it though, like, include the ed text if you're gonna do a summary though, I would say.
Yep.
But if not, then everybody be the same.
Yeah.
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 I agree.
100%.
Yeah.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Okay, sounds good. And now for the report of the superintendent.
Thank you very much. So number one is really something new that we talked about with the policy committee. And so I sent all of you through a link, all of the handbooks from the different schools. And so our handbooks have required information by Maine State law that are part of those handbooks. And so tonight what we're going to do is just really kind of, there isn't a lot, but theoretically, if there were major changes to the handbooks, we would talk about those this evening, so you are aware of any of those changes kind of going into the school year. There's really only 2 minor changes that we felt like that were really important to share with you on part of the high school, and so I've asked Brett to kind of come here and just give you a little bit of just 2 things with the handbook that he's making some changes around. I think, they're both really positive, so. Brett, you wanted to quickly share?
Did you say minor?
Minor, I'd say.
Maybe major, one of them major. Just to give you a little background, in the past, our student handbook was about 78 pages of a PDF. And so if you were at the top, you might get a welcome message, and then if you want to find out about lockers, go to page 34. So
Yeah.
you scrolled all the way down to page 34.
Yeah.
And at the end of the year, we would make a copy of that one, and we'd try to make changes, and all of a sudden, oh, this board policy was changed, so we took that out and put in the new one, and it was a lot of work, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So we tried to make it easier for everybody. So the handbook that we have now on the website is just that, a website. And so if you want to find out, I don't know why it's not following me here. Oh, sorry, I'm gonna click on stuff. And so if you want to find out specifics, you can just go to these different pages of the website, and I'll just try to pick general information, hopefully it'll follow along with me, David. And so there's those categories that we have there, if you need that information. As I scroll down, one of them I just recently added was policies. So I didn't put in all our policies, however, I did put in the link to all our policies.
Great.
Right there, so if someone's looking for any policies of all the policies, they're there. But I just put in a handful of high school policies here. And what's nice about it is, when you click on, I'll use school dress code policy, for example, that was changed last year. When you click on it, it takes you to the new and updated policy, which didn't follow me, so that's.
That's great.
And
Yeah.
when it's updated here.
Great.
So we wouldn't have to change that year long.
Yep.
Because it's a Google Doc or
So it's in
something,
real
right?
time.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so, obviously, thank you to Lindsay Edson, who helped set up this for us, and Rich and Kelly and Tony and I all worked on this summer to make it something we could be proud of, and something that is easier for people to navigate through, and easier for us next year to update it,
Yeah.
instead of the 78-page
Yes.
PDF.
Yes, that's great.
Just one quick addition, we had taken our clubs and activities slides last year and put them on the website, and I don't know what happened, I don't know how long it lasted, but it disappeared for some reason. So what we're gonna try to do is get those all updated to the start of the school year, get them to Crystal Villamar, who's gonna create a website to put back on there, similar to maybe along these lines, to make it easier for people to do. The other change we made late last year was the late arrival on late Thursdays is 9:15. So it gives them about 10 minutes to get here if for some reason they got caught in traffic or they're running late or whatever. But other than that, it's pretty similar in regards to all the policies and procedures and the things that we put in place, but happy to answer any questions you have.
No, this
That's
seems
great.
like it's more ADA compliant anyway, because I know like with PDFs, I think that it's hard for people with disabilities to navigate, so this is gonna help tremendously for those that may need assistance.
And, I'm 99% sure it's 100% accurate. And I only say that because there is a chance that there was something in there that, oh my gosh, we just overlooked it. But we'll keep looking through these items and things that will help folks.
This was really
Great.
cool.
Yes.
Thanks, Brett.
Organized.
Thank you, I love
Thank you
that.
so much.
It's visually appealing.
So those are all available. We had them all access online. It's just a good resource, and we want to encourage our families to use that as a resource, certainly,
Great.
for a lot of things. Just kind of wanted to give a quick little summary of just some of the things that have kind of gone on this summer from an academic standpoint, of just we've done some really positive things, and I just think it's important that we share some of those things. Give me 1 second, I'm missing the document that I had. I think I gave some of my notes on accident. Oh. Okay. We talked about last Thursday, we did a day-long session working with all the fifth grade teachers at Marshall Gateway School around the mathematics curriculum. Fantastic day, time well spent, had some great conversations about looking at math and how we teach math. I think really Got some really great feedback from the teachers around, let's relook at the sequencing for a little bit more logical approach, which makes things more time efficient. So really an excellent day that was spent there. We have our math remediation program, which is AVMR, and they've actually, Melanie Dodge and Devin Weber have gone to do some fractions training. One of the things that we were concerned about was that we wanted to make sure the remediation that we were offering at the Great Works School paralleled what the state standards were, and so we, that's a part of that work is really those fractions. So really happy about that. We had 2 days of elementary literacy training that staff took place with. 7 staff members were enrolled in an Orton Gillingham course. 7 staff members participated in an adaptive physical education course. And they actually presented to the administrative team today to talk about what that's going to look like next year. And then we also have staff participating in an upcoming writing instruction cohort with Kennybunk. And so just some instructional things that are kind of going on where staff are taking some time over the summertime to be able to do that. In addition, we trained our physical education staff at the Great Works School, high school, and middle school, and a couple of other staff members at the high school for the use of the ropes course. And so on Friday, as you know, part of our administrative retreat, we've invited some board members. We've invited all of you to come to the event, but we are also going to turn that into a professional development opportunity as well, where Project Adventure is going to be there to kind of guide and make sure that we're doing things the right way, provide feedback at the end, so our staff actually has a chance to teach it to everybody, and then at the end, they'll get that feedback from the safety perspective from Project Adventure. So really trying to use those resources as wisely as we can. So we're looking forward to that. That's great. Just wanted to start thinking a little bit of just what are some topics of interest for the board this year. And so don't need to answer that right now, but just kind of start thinking a little bit about like what are those things. Like I think probably would make sense to have an adaptive physical education presentation. Let's learn a little bit more about that, like what the process was that we used that. But start to think about what are those some areas that, hey, I've had some questions about this. I would like to learn a little bit more about it.
Okay. Yeah, the ropes course, like we really we should be going to give it a try, right?
Yeah.
Or-
Friday.
That's
Friday.
That's
Friday.
Friday, yes.
It's Friday.
You are going to, you're
Oh,
going to
that's
You're-
what
school
that
drop-up,
is.
yes.
You're avoiding that thought of going to UVM on Friday.
And
but yeah, that's
you're going to be
what-
missing me having a panic attack on the
Yeah.
road.
Oh,
Yeah.
shoot, that's what that was.
Yes,
Oh,
yes,
oh, sorry.
Could I request that perhaps in December or early January that we could do a presentation for approval of the vision of the graduate for NEASC to keep us in our process?
Oh, yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Ruth?
that's great.
We should
Yep.
have it in place by then.
Yep.
What's the best way to give our thoughts on that? Should we go to
Go to Joe, because I
Okay.
think there was some
We
some
had
articles
some-
that was
we
shared,
had some,
like, let's
yeah.
get that on the agenda. Let's,
Yeah.
get that to Joe, and then that,
Okay.
and it doesn't necessarily have to be, hey, John, let's have teachers come and do a presentation. It could
No,
be like, this
no.
is something that we want to talk about as a
Yeah,
group, but you want
just
to talk
to
about as a group,
talk
to spend some
about,
time on it.
to spend some time.
Absolutely.
That's
So,
awesome. That's perfect.
Okay.
I
Yep,
was
that makes
waiting for
sense.
that.
Sounds
Yep.
great.
Fantastic.
Great.
We did have a couple of resignations. Jen Balsinger resigned from Marshall Middle School as an art teacher. We wish Jen the best. And then Haley Piazza, who is administrative assistant at Elliott Elementary School, has moved on, and Haley is going to be really missed in that main office. Those are the positions where, as people leave, that institutional knowledge gets lost. So we wish Haley nothing but the best. She is absolutely marvelous, and just, obviously she'll be missed.
I'm sorry, did we skip that part on what's new with the share the following on the,
Extended learning.
do we just, extended learning opportunities right
Oh,
above
these are
it?
topics
Those are-
that you're
but
looking to do this
These are
year.
potential topics.
Oh,
that I
I'm
think
sorry,
that
I'm
you really wanna
sorry.
touch on. Yep.
Yep.
I
Yeah.
thought you were
And
saying
that's
you
a-
would
that's
like to
just my
share with, I'm
brainstorming.
going
Yeah.
to.
There's some
I'm
new
following.
things
I'm
happening with
sorry,
that.
yes, thank you.
One of the things that we are working really hard on is we're trying to partner with a federal grant through Portsmouth Naval Shipyard. And so there's a person who's local who is really working hard with our ELO grants. We're really trying to branch off and trying to create that next step at the middle school. I put together a proposal, worked with Rob Scully and one of the teachers at the middle school around how do we do this, what would that look like. I haven't heard anything, so usually no news is not good news in this case. But we're going to continue to work that process through. And so that may be something that maybe become more and more appropriate as we get closer to budget season, or also just to kind of know what's happening with this, because this, one of those things that we don't talk about enough is that, we in many aspects are leaders in the state and the ELO world. We've had students that have presented at the state conferences. Rob is really a great resource. People come and visit the work that Rob's doing, so I just think it's just a great opportunity for us to learn a little bit more about it.
Absolutely.
This is exciting, but things are happening quick. And so the state of Maine has decided that in the next little bit, schools are going to be responsible for the education of child developmental services 3 and 4-year-old students. And so what does that look like? That's a big jump as to what that's going to look like. So currently, we have a high-need in-house program at Elliott Elementary School that we've had for the last few years, where we service students of significant needs and be able to take them in from our community, and then if we have space available, we take them from outside the community, and we work with CDS. And in many ways, that's funded by the state of Maine. You know, the revenues piece is something that we've been concerned about with that. We were then contacted by the state of Maine and saying, look, we're running this Tier 1 program of how can we get this off the ground? Would you like to be one of those schools to be at the ground level of doing this? Sounds good. Let's talk about it more. They then said that it will be 100% state funded, so it will cost us nothing. So like that, now that sounds even better. And so we have a couple of nominations on the board tonight, and so for the board to approve tonight, and let me explain what we're doing. We have our typical pre-K programs, and that's typically 4-year-olds approximately. And so students who may get services through CTS may just attend a typical 4th grade preschool program, pre-K program. There's a segment of the population, which is 3-year-olds, who are getting CDS services, who really, there's a gap in service provision. And so what we are proposing, what we propose, and people are excited about it, is that we will run a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, half-day, AM and PM, 3-year-old section. 4, 5, maybe 6 students in that to be able to provide services for these students. That same staff, so there'll be 2 sections at Central School. There'll be on Tuesday and Thursday, that staff member will then go into the 4-year-old pre-K program and provide the specially designed instruction in order that those students need to be able to meet their CDS plans. And so they'll go in, they'll work with those students and provide those services in-house, paid for by the state. Win-win for everybody. Kids are in school, kids are getting the services they need, we're building rapport with families, we have control over those meetings, there's a lot of positive things that happen. This is where it gets really interesting. So now you go to Elliott Elementary School, the population is a little bit smaller. So I shared with you already that our pre-K numbers were really low, and so we've taken a half-time pre-K teaching position, and they're going to work with our high-need students already, so we've already kind of made that shift. We're hiring an additional person that will do 1 section on Monday, Wednesday, Friday in the afternoons, and then on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday in the mornings, they're going to provide SDI, the specifically designed instruction, to the kids in the 4-year-old program that we currently have. Then, on Tuesday and Thursday, this person is going to be doing assessments for students, because the difference with how the CDS works is that as kids age in, it can happen at any point during the school year. It's kind of when they reach that age, as opposed to kind of, we have that school mindset where it's, we wait a calendar year. So those students will be coming in, there will need to be evaluations done. In addition, there may be students where that staff member may need to go into local daycares that work through the state, and they'll provide services at those local daycares. And so really a pretty interesting model that we have in place. Speech and language services, we're going to try to access our adaptive physical education services for these students. And so I'm really excited about it. For us, it doesn't cost us anything, which is wonderful. It allows us to get on the ground floor, gives us a voice on how this works. Ryan has a meeting tomorrow at noontime just to make sure. The only tricky part that I think we foresee right now is, like, let's get the funding sources aligned properly, where we're making sure that we're booking things in the right areas. Because it is going to be a little bit different from how we currently are doing things, and so Ryan will have that conversation tomorrow. So I wanted to make you aware of that. I think for us, it shores up any revenue loss that we might have had in the in-house program, which is just a win for us. And then our kids are going to win now, because we're going to be able to work with those 3 and 4-year-old students who might have some needs. So pretty exciting.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, of course.
How are those students identified? Do they come to you through referrals, through pediatricians?
Through CDS.
Okay.
Yeah, and so that's, part of that is where the daycare service providers help. And so
Okay.
I know Scott has a meeting, I believe it's next week, don't quote me on that, but shortly, with all the local daycare providers that
Okay.
are servicing, through CDS programs.
Okay.
And so that's a place where that starts to happen.
Okay.
And so it also kind of creates a focal point where there is a contact person, so that we can start to be that contact
Yeah.
person.
Okay.
And so we're working really hard at that. There are some students who are out of district, who might be local students, but we'll work out through those details around that with the states.
Okay. And one more question. Is this like being sort of the pilot school or whatever the term is? Is this this is a one-year thing and we're trying it, or it's here to stay because
It's coming.
the law?
It's
Okay.
coming, and we're getting in
And
front
will
of
it always be state funded? To be determined.
It's coming.
Okay.
Good question.
One of the benefits for us, though, is that they have said, if you need money to buy equipment to outfit a classroom for these students, we'll make that available to you now.
Nice.
If you need help providing transportation for these students, we'll do that now.
Okay.
And so there's things that we're trying to do to be able to create the program that we want, as opposed to 3 years from now. It's kind of like that, like we want to be, part of the solution, not told what to
Yes.
do, right? So,
Yes.
so
Right.
we're working through this. And it's interesting because there aren't a lot of schools that are doing this, and so, I think we feel pretty good, and the people, frankly, have been so responsive and wonderful. Like, so the Department of Education, the commissioner, this is going to happen. They are supporting it. They have been extremely flexible. They have been very thoughtful. So they has their full support by making this successful.
Great.
Which I think is great.
That's so great.
Thank
And
you.
then,
Neat
like
thing.
you said, you'll be ahead of it and possibly a model for the state
Absolutely.
rollout. That's
Absolutely.
really exciting.
Yeah. So, frankly, Scott's world has changed over the last 3 weeks, and I think that's probably a fair assessment, because things are happening now, as you saw, we have 2 new names put on the agenda today. We're just trying to make sure we get the right people in the right place, and so being clear with staff that you're gonna go into daycares, like, that's not something that we
Right.
typically do, right? That's a whole other world. We can by policy, I made sure we check that, but there is, this is a little bit of a cultural shift, and so, we also, just to be thoughtful, met with a group of staff members from Elliott and Central, just to say, hey, look, this is what's happening. And so you're
Yeah.
gonna see a job,
Yeah.
people see a job posting, it's like red alert,
Oh my
what's
gosh,
happening.
what's going on, yeah.
And so, just trying to be really thoughtful. And there is a certain degree that we are kind of building this on the fly, but I think, that we do have a tremendous amount of support behind us. We already have the experience running the program that Jackie Curtis heads up at Elliott Elementary School currently. And so I think it really also kind of brings a refreshing, you talk about ADA, really gives us a refreshing view on how to make sure that classroom is the way that we want it to be. Like, what are the desks that we need to buy? What are the chairs that we need to buy?
Yeah.
Is the floor that we have right now in the classroom, is that appropriate? Is there a different way to put flooring down there that may be more appropriate for those students? So really be really thoughtful in how we're doing it, so.
Awesome. Great.
Great
Exciting.
opportunity.
Yeah.
I think, we're trying to, any of those things that we can do to be creative, to be able to A, serve students, but B, be as fiscally mindful and responsible as we can be. We're trying to investigate every one of those things as they come along. And so never want to put the students' needs second. We put the students' needs first, but there are opportunities where we're trying to create those situations. The example that we used during the budget process was really the adaptive physical education move is really benefits the district in the long run. Not only is it the right thing for students, but it also is a right way for us, district just have to right side itself. It's what we need, so.
Well, and you know what else it is a professional development opportunity for whoever's involved, because, what a wonderful thing to be able to put on their resume, and also to collect CEUs for hours, because all of that time outside the classroom that they're going to be doing planning and figuring out what pieces need to be purchased or set up and whatever, and the research that they're going to do. I mean, it's a great professional
100%.
development opportunity
That
for
is
anyone
awesome.
involved.
You say that, Heather, and it's funny you bring that up. And so this morning, we had 6 physical education teachers who are all certified as adaptive physical education teachers. That's all happened in the last 6 months. And then really the thing that I think they were most excited about was that they've had a chance to spend time together
Yeah.
talking about it. Like, how do I adapt a unit when I'm teaching soccer, when I may have a student who's in a wheelchair? How do we make that work so that child has that same experience? And so that for them all to be able to work together, and what are the 4 levels of that? And how does that work? How do we plan an IEP? How do we go to, like, this is, and they were just really gushing about that opportunity to have those conversations.
Yeah.
So the other part that they brought up, which I think was fantastic, is creating that opportunity to meet with the ed techs that are in those classrooms, because sometimes as an ed tech, you go into that setting, you're not sure what to do, and being really clear, these are the things that I need you to do as we meet students' needs. And so it was really just a positive experience this morning, so I 100% agree with you.
Great. John, I just had a small question. As far as space in like EES and at Central, I know Central is already kind of maxed out with space. Are the students going to be integrated into the pre-K classrooms with?
Nope, they're gonna have their own spaces.
They're gonna have
They have
their
their
own
own spaces, yeah. And so, space is always a concern, right? But one of the, I want to say this the right way. One of the things about schools are whatever space you have get used, right?
Uh-huh.
And so like there's always something someplace. And so I think you have to start to prioritize, like, what are those things that we need to be able to have space to do? And so we have plenty of room, to be able to do this right now, so that's not an issue. But it does, we have to, shuffle things around a little bit. That's part of what we had to do. Central also had to do some shuffling around because we had some accessibility issues that we needed to address. And so we needed to make sure all of our specials were on the ground floor, so they had equal access for all students. And so amongst these shuffles going on, we were able to accommodate some of those things that we needed to address.
Great.
Next, just kind of an update. I had an opportunity with our negotiations committee to sit with the representative of the Rollinsford School Board and the superintendent from Somersworth to talk about the expiring tuition agreement that we currently have in place. I think people seemed amicable. Clearly, we want to keep the agreement going, which I think is positive. We hope to have that agreement agreed upon by, probably by our second meeting in October would be ideal. So that allows for us to kind of plan for what's going forward. So, good meeting, productive first meeting. I think we certainly felt good about it. So, would you?
Yeah.
You agree?
I think it was very positive, and we were able to address some concerns that had been talked about over the past year, and everyone seemed really happy to move forward. Great.
Fantastic. This is, number 7 is ideas in lieu of out-of-school suspension. And so our policy committee did a lot of work this past year, particularly in the area of, if a student has a drug and alcohol infraction, how do we manage that? So we want to create a behavioral standard that sends a clear message to children that that's unacceptable. But at the same time, you've got to understand that giving a person a 7-day suspension for, being caught with, alcohol, let's just say, isn't necessarily going to, cure the root cause. And so I think we've developed that first step where it's there will be in school suspension, but there will also be some therapeutic work with our counselors doing kind of that 3-meeting model that we talked about. So I think this led us to a larger conversation. And I struggle a little bit, like I feel like we need another step in our disciplinary process. And I guess this is my philosophy. I think it's shared by a lot of people, but for kids to learn, they've got to be in school, right? And so taking away a student's access to instruction is a big thing, right? And so certainly there are times where that's appropriate. When it's a safety issue, that's appropriate. If it's a pervasive issue, that's appropriate. But at the same time, is there an opportunity to take some middle ground? And so I had a conversation with both the middle school and the high school staff, and I would like to throw out an idea, and I can't guarantee anything. I'm brainstorming with you and want to get your thoughts. And this is going to sound like we're back in 1985, but that's okay. Part of me feels like that we should investigate some type of Friday afternoon or Saturday morning type of program.
I knew it was coming.
So, and I know, like, everyone's thinking of, Judd Nelson and the Breakfast Club right now. I got
Yes,
it. I
totally.
understand, right?
Absolute favorite.
But I want to frame it for you this way, and again, this is my view. I think it's a very, very different message to say to a student, you know what, you made a mistake, and we want you here more. We want you here on Saturday, and we want to spend some extra time with you to give you the support that you need, rather than saying, on Friday, we don't want you in school today because of this issue.
Yeah,
And it doesn't work for everything, and
Right,
I don't know if I could, we would want to describe, like, what would happen in that time.
Yeah.
Would it be remediation? Would it be some type of community service? Would it be, would it be some type of self-reflection? I mean, there's a lot of things I think we would want to work through. I also don't know if I could find staff. Typically people aren't going to shoot their hands up and say, I'd love to come in on Saturday for 4 hours, right? But I think it's powerful to say to a family, look, your child's made a mistake. we're gonna have them come in on a Saturday morning. Now, if they don't show up, that's a different issue.
Yeah.
But I'm, as a parent, I'm trying to partner with you to send a consistent message that what is best for your child. And we want to spend additional time with this child to be able to support them. We did some research, and there's some startling concerns around students who are out of school suspended and their proficiency rates, and I think that's
Yeah.
something we want to
Yeah.
talk about. So what I'm asking for is, I would like the permission of the board to investigate. I don't know if I can get this off the ground, if there may be pushback, I may not be able to get people, if pushback's fine, whatever, I'm not worried about that, but I'd like to be able to say, does this philosophically make sense to you as you sit here?
Oh, yeah.
You're
Definitely.
okay with me looking at
1,000%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also an opportunity to get to know that student a little bit
Yeah.
more.
100%.
Like
Yeah.
one-on-one
Yeah,
or
build
one-on-two or
relationship
whatever that
and-
is.
yeah.
And we would look into, in my mind, it would be a situation where we might say, if it hypothetically were a Saturday program, let's just say, we would work out with transportation. There are 7 kids that are on the list. If they need to have transportation provided, let's have a van that makes a run around the district to pick up students to make sure that we don't want to create those socioeconomic barriers, right? Like that's
Yeah.
not the right thing to do. But give us a chance to kind of work through it a little bit. And I think we're doing some really good deep dives into looking at data and just the idea of, again, if chronic absenteeism continues to be an issue, those are the areas we can't send a mixed message around, our solution is have you not come to school. Right? I think, and there, again, I want to be clear, there is times when that's appropriate.
Yeah.
But are there some of those more low-hanging fruits that might make a little bit more sense? And it allows us to engage people proactively and send the message that at the end of the day, we all screw up. We all make mistakes,
Right.
but we want to grow from those things.
Right.
So, we're okay with that?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say like definitely 2 staff members, obviously, during that morning, especially, depending upon how many kids.
Yeah.
2
And I
minimum,
don't see it
you know.
being like, I'm guessing 5 students maybe,
Yeah.
we do it every other week. I don't think it's
Yeah.
gonna be like a packed house type
Right.
of thing.
Yeah.
No.
But I do think that, and we'll see if some staff are interested, because you've also got to get the right staff member
Yeah.
to be able to work with students and build those rapport. At the end of the day, this continues to be a relationship business. This is about students and it's about student relationships, right? And our job is to support students so they want to feel like they want to come to school and be able to learn and be their best, right? And we never want to intentionally or unintentionally send a message that we don't want you here.
Yeah.
And that's never anybody's intention, but we want students to feel like they're seen, valued, and heard. And again, I know it's a silly example, but I think it's valuable is that, when we send those howdy letters, it's about, we miss you, we want you to be here. When you're not here, our school's not the same. And I think whether they're in high school or elementary school, I think that messaging still needs to be the same, so.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Is Jerry on the committee?
No, he's not.
Oh,
No,
okay.
I don't think we're there yet.
Oh, yeah, with the little
y-
ones, right,
um,
yeah.
But Brett was there,
Oh, yeah.
Kelly, Tony, Christine, and
Yeah, oh.
Kevin and Heidi.
That's so
Yeah,
cool.
so
Yeah, because I would just love if somehow, like, with this whole thought process is bringing in some sort of outdoor experience during that Saturday morning so that they can feel like, whether it's landscaping a little spot or shoveling a walkway or whatever, to feel a part of
The
the
ownership.
space
100%
Yeah.
the ownership.
would be really cool.
Yeah. And it's kind of like you go back to that idea of like, remember, the graffiti on the wall, or people, we want to get that off the wall as soon as possible, because we don't want to make that acceptable, right? And so we want people to be proud of where they go to school, be excited about, we had kids out there this summer who volunteered to come out, and they wanted to use screwdrivers and pick the weeds out of the sidewalk, with our summer program. I mean, and they were happy doing it, like they
They
felt
love
like
it.
this is my
Yeah.
place,
Yeah.
I value
wanna
this,
make it
so.
look
Yeah,
good.
love it.
I don't know that it will be easy, I don't know how quickly it will be, but
No.
I just wanted to, we've had some conversations, I think, Tony Bourbon, said this to me 10 years ago, we kind of started the conversation, and it kind of fed it out a little bit, but I think as we start talking about tools in our toolbox to help support students who might have made disciplinary decisions that aren't the best, like what are those tools? And if we can create some more tools, I think that may be a wise decision for us down the road.
Oh, yeah.
I can't help, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I can't help but think it's a real opportunity, sometimes, and it's not all the time, but I think sometimes the kids who tend to make these decisions don't have maybe much of anything else going on, right? So using these opportunities, ELO comes to mind, it's like using these opportunities to really get to know these kids and see if we can support them in finding their thing their passion. I think the self-reflection piece is gonna be huge with that. And I 100% agree, it needs to be a really thoughtful, organized process, and I think the approach for each student might be a little bit different.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, individualized, that's wonderful.
I think also, like, for a student to be out for 10 days, not only are they not here, but that, like, mountain to climb when you're 10 days behind is,
Oh.
like, insurmountable if you're,
Yeah.
I know there's, like, I'm sure there's
Absolutely.
online options, but that is a whole other can of worms to be able to eliminate, just like getting behind, I think
Yeah.
is a whole other benefit.
Good.
Okay, well, fantastic. So that concludes my report.
Great,
Thank
thank
you
you.
very much.
I don't think we have any correspondence tonight, so we'll move to the report of the committees. Finance and Facilities met tonight. Does somebody want to give a report?
Sure. I'll try. Oh, you want to? Okay. Yes. I was like looking at my notes like, okay. Thanks.
Good evening. So we had our financial auditors in tonight to give a presentation on our 22-23 audit, which was the year, not the most recent year, but the year before. That audit is finally complete. So there was 4 reports you all have in front of you. There's 2 bound reports and there's 2 unbound reports. The largest bound document is our financial statements. Those received an unmodified or clean opinion, which means they're fairly stated in all material respects. In the auditor's opinion, I should say. The other smaller bound report is a basically audit on our federal awards. So basically, we spent about $2 million in 22-23 with COVID money being the largest piece. Our school nutrition and local entitlement being like our 3 largest grants, but we spent about $2 million. We did receive a qualified opinion on our federal audit due to a finding related to school nutrition and the application process. That finding has been cleared and rectified and won't happen again, but just wanted to let you know that that is in there. There's an explanation, their finding, and then an explanation of exactly what happened. There's also 2 unbound reports. The thicker one is what they call their SAS letter. It's basically kind of goes through their communications with management throughout the course of the audit, which management being me, and basically telling you how those communications went and if there was any concerns. They did not have any concerns. The smaller bound report, unbound report, I'm sorry, is the management letter, and they did have a couple management comments. So comments basically come in 3 different sorts. There's material weaknesses, significant deficiencies, and then they have basically other. Nothing was identified other than other, which is like the most minor of the comments. Their first comment in there was related to segregation of duties. We have a small accounting office. We have a $37 million budget now this year. There are duties in our office that are incompatible. For example, I basically have access to post deposits, write checks, make journal entries. Those are all incompatible duties that basically one person shouldn't be doing. Because of the size of our office and the number of people that we have, that has to happen. We do have several things that we try to do to mitigate as much of that as we can. We have a member of the school board come in and sign warrants every week, the warrants being all the checks that go out. We have our monthly meetings where we talk about the finances and all those types of things. So we try to do everything we can to keep everything segregated as much as we can, but just because of the size of our office, it can't be done. Mr. Gill, who was from Runyon, Kirstein, Roulette, who did the audit presentation, did kind of mention that most schools in the state of Maine received that comment. It's just because of the size, and we're trying to keep those administrative costs down. The other finding, or the other comment that was in the management letter was related to our school activity funds. Those are small pools of money that are kind of collected and dispersed at the individual schools, so they're desegregated and not kind of overseen by our central office. They're kind of usually handled by an administrative assistant or something that's in the office. Since this audit happened, we've kind of taken control in the central office of 3 of those accounts to try to help alleviate some of the issues that we've been having. We've had significant turnover in those positions, and, you know, we get those positions trained, and then they leave, and then we have to start training someone new, so we end up with problems. So we've just decided, and I explained during the meeting, that what we're going to try to do is the check stock and everything will kind of remain at the school. We'll kind of handle all the bookkeeping at the office. When they need a check, they would request it, send the documentation over. Once we get the documentation, we issue the check, send it to them, they'd print it out on the check stock and have the principal sign it. So we're trying to keep it segregated somewhat from the central office, but also kind of maintaining that level of control. So we kind of alleviate some of those comments and take care of those accounts.
Thank you.
There's any other questions?
Wow.
Yeah, great job. Yeah,
Yeah,
this
this
is
is so
like very
much.
impressive.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. Anything else? No? Report of the Ed Policy Committee will meet next on September 25th, and then Wellness will meet September 4th. Moving on to new business, can I have a motion for Ashley Mayo, please?
I move to approve the nomination of Ashley Mayo, first-year probationary teacher, early childhood special education, Central School, school year 2024-2025, bachelor step 2, $50,078.
Second, Rebecca?
Thank you.
So do you have one of those moments where you're really happy for the person, but there's also some sadness? The two staff members that are currently working with us, Ashley Mayo and Mick Smith, are absolute student-centered rock stars who are at Techs for us right now.
So exciting.
I am excited for both of them to be able to be teachers, but there is a loss because some of our students are going to miss them tremendously. And so I'm really excited about Ashley. Ashley has worked as an Ed Tech 3, most recently at Elliott Elementary School, as well as currently at Marshall Great Works School. Done a fantastic job, also has done an extensive amount of work during our Summer Boost program for us.
Good. Nice.
So Ashley will be working with the Central School 3-year-old CBS pre-K program. And so Ashley graduated from St. Joseph's College in Maine, graduated from Marshall High School 2016. So
did.
excited for Ashley's opportunity. I'm excited for the 3-year-old pre-K students. I'm a little sad for the students at Marshall Great Works School because she will be missed there, so.
Yeah.
Ashley Mayo.
That's exciting.
All in favor? 5-0. Can I have a motion for Mick Smith, please, Marshall Middle School?
Move to approve the nomination of Mick Smith, first-year probationary, teacher art, Marshwood Middle School, school year 24 to 25, bachelor's degree, step 2, $50,078.
I'll second, Lisa.
Okay.
From the moment Mick walked into Marshall Middle School, they made a difference. Mick is an ed tech there currently, worked with students in our life skills program, made a difference every single day. And so just so thrilled. Mick has an extensive experience in art, and so she'll be teaching art at Marshall Middle School. Mick is fantastic with students. They do a great job building rapport. Just really, really happy for the opportunity that Mick has in front of them.
That's awesome.
Great. All in favor? 5-0. Thank you. And a motion for Karen Sarzinski at EES, please.
I move to approve the nomination of Karen Sarzinski, first-year probationary teacher, early childhood special education, Elliott Elementary School, school year 2024-2025, master's, step 9, $64,666.
Second? Betty?
I'll second.
Great. Okay.
So really excited about Karen joining us. Karen will be in the Elliott Elementary School 3-year-old pre-K program, but as we talked about, Karen will have that role where she'll be going into daycares and working with families, potentially going into homes. And so the great news is that Karen currently works for CDS, and so she's highly trained in what we're doing. So she's
That's great.
a certified special education teacher, is extremely well-versed in the testing component, going in and working within in the daycare setting. So really just this is a home run hire for us as we're starting to build this CDS program within the district. So really happy, some of you may know Karen, and she's been a longtime parent for students in the district as well. So.
Good.
Yeah.
Great.
She has, that's awesome.
All in favor? 5-0. Great. building administrator check-in, we do not have. Anything else? Anybody? Great. Can I have a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting?
I move to adjourn tonight's meeting.
I'll second.
Great. And we are adjourned at 7:44.
Thank you.